Elliot, what is it about society that disappoints you so much?
Is it that we collectively thought Steve Jobs was a great man, even when we knew he made billions off the backs of children?
A world built on fantasy.
Or maybe it's that it feels like all our heroes are counterfeit.
Synthetic emotions in the form of pills.
Spamming each other with our bullshit.
Psychological warfare.
Masquerading as insight.
In the form of advertising.
Or is it that we voted for this?
Turned it off, took out the battery.
With our things.
By corporation.
Property. Our money.
Hypnotizing us into the biggest slumber mankind has ever seen.
Elliot, you're not saying anything. What's wrong?
Nothing.
Action! The show's about multiple things, but central it's about this guy named Elliot. He's our main character. He's a cybersecurity engineer by day and a vigilante hacker by night. It's really about his place in the world and how sort of technology has kind of taken over our sort of modern day society.
All of these amazing things that have enhanced our life so much at the same time has also destroyed a lot of humanity.
Everything is digitized. Everything is a digital number. Everything's on a digital display to the point where even our relationships are now monetized by Facebook and Twitter and all these social media corporations. So this ownership that we're kind of allowing these corporations to take over is sort of a modern day dilemma.
The 1% versus the 99, the zillionaires that play God and govern, like that invisible hand that we all have to live by.
He hacks into people's lives because he has the disability of not being able to connect with human beings. I will start by saying Sam's a very unique individual. He's whip smart, he's incredibly talented, and this is clearly his mind behind this show.
He's here all the time, and this is such a cerebral television show that if you don't have the guy who created it, you know, sort of helping you and keeping you on track on certain elements, I think it would be impossible to do.
It's unbelievable working with Sam on set. This whole story is so close to him.
So my background is that I'm just a nerd at heart. I had actually started an internet company during the whole internet boom. My friends were programmers. Some of them were hackers. And I just never felt it was represented well in television or film. So there was like a part passion for the culture and passion to tell their story and / frustration with how poorly I thought it was being represented from Hollywood. And action. I started writing Mr.Robot about 3 years ago, and it was kind of 3 factors that sort of inspired me to write it. One was this just passion for the culture that I always wanted to tell a story about. 2 was the financial crisis of 2008. There was this anger there, it was just in the air. And then 3, I'm actually Egyptian, so all my young cousins out in Egypt started a revolution using Twitter and Facebook, and that became the Arab Spring. And it was sort of those 3 seminal events that sort of inspired me to say, okay, I need to tell this story, because I just thought this was an important story to tell. I actually started writing it as a feature. It's not going to be a television show. And then I think I got to about page 90 and realized, well, okay, I'm only halfway through the first act. So I turned it into a television show. I went around and pitched it. USA was very passionate about my vision for the first season, and they just seemed really on board with what I wanted to do. I could tell that they were sort of uncompromising about it. So that's how we joined forces.
What's unique about this show is, like, sometimes on a TV show, for instance, it'll be a green screen, and in post, they'll like superimpose what you're supposed to be looking at on the computer. I know Sam has been very adamant about it not looking that way because he wants to look as real as possible. So they have a really awesome technology team here that sets up these amazing graphics and executes these sequences to make it look like we're really doing what we're saying that we're doing.
This is one of the first shows where we showcase the use of Linux and a terminal window, which is basically a black window with white text. It looks very much like old MS-DOS prompt.
I'm very obsessive about the authenticity of all the technical beats of the story. From a creative standpoint, there's the temptation to sort of gloss over that. And it's like the red button dilemma. You know, there's the big red button on the screen. It makes absolutely no sense, and it's not based in any sort of reality. But it's easy, the audience will get it. But the thing about developing a television show about technology nowadays is that people are savvier. The technology is so sort of intimate in everyone's lives nowadays. They know that a big red button doesn't really exist.
Production design is so crucial to the show and to the look and the aesthetic. It's so unbelievably fascinating what they can do with recreating the arcade that originally we filmed on Coney Island, building it onto a stage with all of the little details that most people probably won't even be able to see on TV, but they're there.
Production design is incredibly important to me. You can pick the lenses and the lighting and all of that, but if you're not photographing something that's matching what you're trying to go for, it's not going to look right. We wanted this grittier look, and so we wanted this washed-up arcade that no one really goes to. It's kind of a relic from the past.
Society is kind of like, they're like the underground rats of it all. So they're kind of inside of this bunker, and that was one thing that was really important to me. To stay true to what is happening in here, I said it really should be a space that has almost every type of light hitting it other than daylight.
Elliot's apartment feels like a New York apartment. It's on a stage, but it has that dingy, decrepit feel of your first or second New York apartment.
When you watch a lot of films or television shows set in New York, they build these big, expansive apartments that will cost, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars to live in. You know, Elliot's a cybersecurity engineer. These are people that don't have a lot of money. And when you live in New York, even when you do have a lot of money, it's not a lot of space. And we wanted to keep it that way. So he's got this kind of grungy, studio-esque apartment. The kitchen's right there, the bed's on the floor. You know, and even like if you look at Angela and Ollie's apartment, you know, we went a different way with that. That's not as grungy. They live more in the Chelsea area, but still small and not incredibly big. Stephen Beatrice, our production designer, really went to great lengths to go for, again, authenticity, because that's something that's really important to us.
I remember reading the pilot, and there's that scene in the therapist's office where he talks about our heroes being counterfeits and how we drown ourselves with things to basically distract us from being a human being, because it's a painful being a human being. And when I read that, I mean, my eyes lit up, and I just wanted to be a part of it.
I loved running away with you.
All the characters, I think, in this series are so specific.
Elliot wants to change the world, and he has this anger, and he's trying to channel it in this positive way. And then there's sort of this devil on his shoulder in Mr.Robot, who is sort of the id to his ego, who's trying to get him to change the world in a more dramatic or anarchist way.
I'm getting off here. I think you should come with me. I come into Elliot's life, recruit him into this organization, F Society, and I use his skills and ability to continue and move forward with this revolution that we have started.
DDoS attack last night. You were testing me.
Elliot's become very disenchanted with the society he lives in, and through F Society, he's able to settle the score in a certain way.
I need you to focus on the next phase of our project. Comets, the natural gas plant up around Albany. We're gonna blow it up.
So the relationship from Elliot and Mr.Robot is a little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde thing.
Elliot is sort of the really more stable guy in a certain respect. I mean, Mr.Robot really wants to blow things up and, you know, create a little bit more havoc and a little bit more carnage. And thank God Elliot is there to sort of help to keep things on track and maybe move things in a much more safer manner, using the technology.
I know how to take out the backups without blowing up the pipeline.
You know, Elliot, I really feel like we resolved this thing between us. Didn't you walk away?
Elliot discovers who Mr.Robot is. It's a pretty confounding experience. It's very sad and very dark.
Why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you tell me?
Okay, Elliot.
This whole time?
Elliot,
You are not well.
There's an unresolved conflict from how his father passed away when he was young at 8 that is rearing its ugly head later in life. And so Elliot's never had a father, and Elliot yearns for a father, and it comes as this sort of other personality.
But I think he's kind of his strength and the powerful side to him that he kind of doesn't really know exists.
It's going to be very, very hard for Elliot to ever get Mr. Robot. Really, you know, he's so deeply ingrained into him that he'll never get him out of his soul.
I have to say it's been a fun ride, but I don't think any other job is anything like running a show, for sure.
I just hope it raises questions for the audience, and they want to know more, and they want to be engaged in these characters and kind of figure out what happens.
In today's world, the technological advances are staggering. It's all happening so quickly. We're losing the ability to interact with each other on a human level. We're just staring at screens and monitors, and I think this show is asking us to go out there and have things be a bit more tangible. Look up from the screen, take in the world you live in. Maybe do something about it. Maybe don't, but at least experience it.
I don't want to give answers to anyone. I think the great thing about the show is if people would talk about these issues that we raise, whether it's technology, whether it's capitalism, income inequality, what is freedom, all of those things. To me, it's like if we can just get people talking, I'm not endorsing a specific point of view. I'm actually sort of just raising the questions.
Here it comes again. That sudden sensation of fear, overwhelming fear, burrowing its way underneath my brain, making itself at home.
You think this is going to get rid of me? This control you think you have?
Nesting, screaming in my mind.
It's an illusion.
We are in a war, and we are on the losing side of it.
Whatever you're doing, I don't trust it.
You want me to tell you that I see my dead father, that I talk, that I'm losing my mind, that I don't know how to control this thing, I don't know how to stop it? Fuck! I acknowledge it.
Great, let's do this.
Another day.
The success of season 1 was really crazy. We made this small little show. We didn't expect any of it.
Hello again. Yes, I'm talking to you this time.
We're just so happy that audiences have responded the way they have, and our fan base has grown the way that it has. We're thrilled.
Rami's performance just really pulls people in. It's also certainly a subject matter that has become more and more relevant as the year has gone on.
The FBI has 3 million of you innocent citizens under surveillance for no reason.
The show really says a lot of things that people think but don't say out loud, or that no one is really saying in this kind of a platform. It is really opening people's minds and speaking to them.
I think it was Halloween and people were dressing up like Darlene and Elliot, and I thought, okay, we're having an effect on people.
Sam really captured something special and unique, and so cinematic.
The way the stories are told are complex and sometimes a little difficult. They don't spoon-feed the audience, and that makes it really a compelling show to watch.
We're on the other side of something we never signed up for.
Very quiet, please. Ready, and action.
Maxine, my dog, she got pretty frail pretty quick. Fell over a few times. For the first time, she realized that she continued to breathe because someone else allowed it. That she had a master.
Going into the second season, I felt quite a bit of pressure, but having Sam Esmail there every day, directing every episode, just leading us down his path, it fills you with a sense of calm. and that's someone you can trust. What's the prognosis, Doc?
Block shooting, the way we have to shoot in order for him to do that has been challenging, but having Sam there makes up for it because I know he has the whole picture in his mind.
All right, let's shoot. Block shooting is actually more used in features because typically in feature filmmaking, when you shoot a location, for example, an office, if you have 10 scenes across the whole script, you would just go to that office, you would shoot all 10 scenes, and then you'd move on to the next location of scenes. In television, it doesn't really work that way because of the episodic nature, and traditionally you have a different director for every episode. But because I directed all of the episodes, we sort of had the liberty to say, you know what, when we're at this one location, whether it's from episode 9, 3, 4, let's just shoot the whole location out. Because I'm so specific about the vision of the show, for me, it feels a lot more streamlined. But I think hand first, whip them out of bed. The biggest hurdle is the actors have to sort of understand their whole arc from the beginning of the season to the end. Because we could be shooting a scene from the season finale in the first week.
On day one, we were handed a script that, was this thick. So it contained all the episodes, and we'll come in on a Monday and shoot a scene from episode 202, 207, 203.
Yeah, I've so far shot from 4 different episodes in one day, and that number might grow. And I would not want to do that with anybody but Sam.
Sure. I mean, is it better if they're both on this side so they can just go straight out?
Sure, I'm fine with that too.
We're kind of looking at this as one big 10-hour movie, so it requires one guy to sort of put all of that together.
Cut. Checking the gate. Nice, guys.
Awesome, great. Ironically enough, we never looked at the show as episodic. Season 2 is sort of the second act of this one story that we're telling. As Elliot has sort of gone inward, we start kind of expand our universe and start to develop everyone else's character and fill out the world.
The season divulges into so many different character stories. Everyone just has a completely different arc this season.
It's a much darker season. People are sort of dealing with the fallout of the 5/9 hack, and in doing that, they're sort of dealing with their own internal loneliness and isolation.
I have value. And even though you don't see it, they do.
They are barbarians in $10,000 suits.
And so in Angela's case, she's zoning out and kind of being a corporate zombie. She alienates her dad, she alienates Darlene and Elliot, she's going into the belly of the beast.
She becomes more manipulative this season. And I think that it's a weird coping mechanism for her to be able to survive and do the things that she's doing at this corporation that are pretty traumatizing.
You're panicking right now. But the minute you remove emotion from this, you'll do just fine.
Everyone is alone in a completely different way. Darlene kind of destroyed the world, and it was what she wanted to do, and she pulled it off, but battling with the aftermath, all the consequences, like it can become a really isolating situation to be in.
Darlene's reaction to it is to lash out. We first see her, she's having a panic attack alone in the bathroom, and then she walks out and she's a totally different person, and she puts on a face and she puts on this tough exterior.
We have been on our knees for too long. And it's time to stand up.
So in a lot of ways, a lot of these characters are pretending to be things that they're not. Everybody sort of has this mask, hiding their loneliness or masking it. And Control is about putting on that front, but ultimately it will end up being an illusion.
Control is about as real as a one-legged unicorn taking a leak at the end of a double rainbow.
Then what do we have?
Now that Elliot knows who Mr. Robot is, he's trying to come to grips with this brand new realization that he has a very drastic psychological problem he's dealing with.
He's literally seeing a hallucination, and he's losing time to this hallucination. And we really wanted to delve into what is that process like when you do realize this about yourself? What are the trial and error moments that you're gonna have with yourself as you're trying to either control it, get rid of it, manage it? There was just a lot of questions and creative potential in there that I thought was really interesting.
How do I take off a mask when it stops being a mask? When it's as much a part of me as I am?
Elliot's trying to distance himself in every way from Mr. Robot, so that definitely adds a sense of tension every time you see the two of us together.
I am not some tumor to be excised, you understand? The opposite. I'm the organ vital to your existence. It's a back and forth, tug of war type situation happening between these two characters.
The Mr. Robot character, though he's not real, he is very real to Elliot. We had to make him feel like a real person with real stakes, and in this case, it's his existence that's on the line. He feels like he has a real purpose, and he's impassioned by that.
We started a movement. We were meant to lead it. Now get back on a terminal now.
Give me what I want, or keep shooting me.
We never played around with those scenes as anything but two people trying to gain control of their sanity. And it's basically life or death moments in every one of those scenes. So with Rami and Christian, it was easy because they both got that immediately.
What's nice is how we're shooting it, and that we get to do all of those scenes over the course of a week. So, it's me, Rami, and Sam just sort of in a room together, really getting to delve as deeply as we possibly can in the most consistent manner.
Round and round we go, you not knowing what you did or didn't do. Our infinite loop of insanity.
The face-offs with Christian, they're always fun for me because he's not afraid to challenge me. I'm not afraid to challenge him, and we just have that sense of camaraderie that has been built from the entire first season. So we can go all out with one another, and no one's feelings are getting hurt.
You will cooperate, my son. I will make you because I own you.
I will not be owned.
It was very grueling. I mean, there wasn't really a world to interact with or other people to really interact with. It was really the two of them just going at it. And so it was really hard, but they both obviously outperformed my expectations. I think they were great.
Can't beat you. And you can't beat me.
I know we tackle a lot of themes about the way technology has influenced the way we interact with each other. But really, I always say the show isn't about the hacking, it's about the people behind the hacking. And so at the end of the day, that's something that can always be sort of universal and relatable.
Sam's created such a vast, dynamic story with real characters going through some dangerous situations in their life. And the thing people will really take from this is just watching that struggle and seeing people at the end of their rope still persevere and continue to fight, even though their back's against the wall.
Let's just take a moment. Why don't you sit back and relax?
Is Mr. Robot gaining control, or am I losing control? I need to kill Stage 2 before he kills anyone else.
Stage 2 is your plan, isn't it? This is what you meant by finishing off Evil Corp. Killing all of those people.
It wasn't me!
People are gonna die!
I need to find a way to fix what I did. I don't know what to do.
As long as he exists, he will stop us.
Stay focused. I have to stop him.
They're blowing up a building.
Yes, I know.
Manipulating me. And you're okay with that?
Everything's fucked.
When we succeed,
I'm running out of options.
a whole new world will be born.
Stay focused. No, I need more time.
A marker. Action!
Season 3 really focuses on Elliot's journey with Mr. Robot. In the first season, we weren't even aware that they were the same person. The second season, it was more of an internal battle. This third season was a denial of each other's existence.
That ever-looming presence that is Mr. Robot. I don't feel it.
You'll see an evolution of each character because we're not together.
How do you know that you're not talking to him right now?
Your eyes. You're never trying to look away.
We go into this very big split within the Elliot and Robot's duality. They're not even aware of what the other one is doing.
Please tell me you know what's happening.
Hey, how's it going today?
It was strange to start off this season by essentially taking these two great actors who have amazing scenes together and telling them that you're not having a scene together at all until the finale.
So starting out this season was a jaw-dropping moment reading those scripts because it's someone you've spent so much time with and we've established a great camaraderie.
How could I be lying to him?
I'm literally looking right at him.
So season 3 has given me an opportunity to branch out a little bit and meet some of the other people in this wonderful ensemble. Hey, this isn't about the back door. It's about him.
The thing about Christian is he makes really unique choices and elevates everything and kind of takes it into this really interesting territory.
That grab takes me by surprise every single time. It's just so weird when you think about it. Like, Elliot doing that.
Would never
Elliot,
do that.
like,
Would never.
grabbing you is so shocking.
Something isn't right. Like something slipped away from me.
A real theme for Elliot this season is this loss of something inside of him and trying to search for what that is. And I think the last thing he'd ever expected that void to be filled with is Mr. Robot.
Whatever he does, it's not me.
They realize by the end that there is something going on that's even bigger than the two of them. This is a zero-sum game. Accept the truth.
We wanted to bring Elliot to a point where there is some value to Mr. Robot in his life and understanding why he actually showed up in Elliot's life in the first place.
When we lose our principles, we invite chaos.
Bobby Cannavale just brings a lot of humor that I think the show really needs. But as much as Irving puts on the funny face and he's got the funny look, there's something brewing underneath. He's like a powder keg, and that last scene is the powder keg going off.
Look at the sky. Take a deep breath. Try to enjoy the fresh air.
That scene is proof positive why he is a Dark Army operative.
We're retiring this shit state. You're taking his place. You work for the Dark Army now.
We love to take characters and flip-flop their situation. So Dom is this loyal FBI agent. And so to take that and corrupt that in a blatant fashion by literally axing someone to death right in front of her, it took an extreme like that to convincingly put her in that position of being a mole.
Each character in this show struggles with what their moral compass is, and I think that's what makes them so dynamic.
Am I to blame for this? Not telling her how much I miss Mr. Robot.
It certainly brings into play the question, what is right and wrong? I mean, that there really is a lot of gray area, and we don't necessarily know if something is all good or all bad.
I'm the problem. This was my fault.
The quagmire that Elliot's facing now in this third season really goes into a lot of gray area.
I did this.
Now that he hasn't actually saved anything, but he's actually made it worse, what does that mean? Do good intentions matter at all? And I think that goes for all the characters. They're constantly being pushed against their boundaries of what they think is right and wrong.
You can lie to yourself all you want. But when you're alone at night, this shit will haunt you.
Angela does some pretty devastating things this season. She's questioning herself, and it's gotten to a point where she doesn't know right from wrong, and she doesn't know whether or not she did the right thing.
Are you still gonna evacuate the recovery center?
That's been done already.
So this is really happening.
To address the consequences of your actions is where the rubber meets the road when it comes to what is right and wrong. I think that it takes us into interesting places, especially when you have to deal with remorse and guilt over what you did. How does that change you? And if it doesn't, how does that reinforce who you are?
Is stage 2 still on? No, I would know. That's impossible. Stage 2 is down. I made sure of it.
In the Mr. Robot world, the circumstances are a lot more dramatic and a lot bigger than in our real world, although the real world is starting to catch up to us.
All good stories that are reaching into real life and reflect them honestly are the best stories. And I think that's what this show does do.
They packaged a fight in the product. Turned our dissent into intellectual property.
I think what makes this show special is that you're not spoon-fed every answer. So you do have to work a little harder than your average show to put things together, but it ends up creating a more rewarding experience.
What's great about a good story is that it's open for interpretation, that there is a lot of questions that aren't answered, and that gives you some agency as a viewer because you can participate in a deeper way.
Sometimes those questions aren't answered, and it grows into more questions.
Still have plenty of work to do. The fun thing about being a part of a show like this is that it can take a lot of twists and turns. We're only getting to see the tip of the iceberg. What you think you thought you knew turns out to not be true.
What was White Rose's real plan? Does she know something I don't? Does everybody know something I don't?
The big takeaway for season 3 is that I hope the fans are satisfied through the journey of Elliot and his mission to take down E-Corp, as well as intrigued by where we're going in the next season.
Just because we lit the fuse doesn't mean we control the explosion.
Surprised you came, that you're going the distance with the silent treatment.
If I remember correctly, you were the one who told me to go fuck myself.
The look of the show, I've always found it to be quite intriguing. There's always a purpose and a reason for it.
Am I supposed to say something? It's a nice rug.
What we always want to do is have you relate to Elliot in a deeper way. And that's where all those creative choices come from, is how can we bring you closer to who Elliot is and how he sees the world.
What's wrong?
I have to tell you something.
By putting actors towards the edge of frame, you tend to feel that they are ostracized and on the fringes of society.
One of the things that I love about it as an audience member is the cinematography evokes a sense of discomfort. Your empty threat reminds me that there's something I never shared with you.
The world of Mr. Robot needs to feel off-kilter from every decision we make, and that included how we compose the shots.
It's weird, but I guess we passed weird a long fucking time ago.
You tell certain cinematographers that, they say, no way. But Todd was crazy enough to say, absolutely, and let's do even more.
Todd Campbell is a fantastic cinematographer, and the way that Sam creates shots and sets up shots and the way the two of them work together is fantastic.
And they have a unique vision for the way they want to shoot it, the way they want to tell their story.
Todd Campbell puts a lot of thought into what we're shooting to make it just as big of a character on the show as any of us. And I think that that is also what makes it really special. It is a character in the show.
If I'm alive, I must have been right. I'm the one in control, the one with the power.